Okay, so we are on week 3 of the High Performers Challenge. And so far we have visualized our dream, and then we have reverse engineered our goals to achieve that dream. And so this week, you may have noticed in my email when I sent last week, I referenced, I said, refer to your roles assessment. And I realized that I forgot to include that sheet with week 1. So we're going to go through that this week, and then we're going to talk about a few different things. So once you get on, feel free to say hi. I want this to be very interactive and collaborative. Okay, so let's talk through the roles assessment. So if you want to pull out your worksheet, we're going to go through that. Okay, so why is this important? Okay, so to align your calendar with your values, you need to identify your values and be able to prioritize your goals. So I've mentioned this before, but we go through so many different seasons in life that it's impossible to be 100% in your career as a wife, as a mom, or as a spouse, as a parent, as a friend. So it's just impossible to be 100% in every single thing you do. Balance is about, I don't like to think of it as it's not equal allocation of time to everything. It's you have to prioritize, you have to choose, but then not feel guilty about your choices. So this is a good gut check exercise to kind of force you to determine where are your values and what's most important to you. Okay, so if you hop on, just wave or say something so I know you're there. But okay, so first with this worksheet, you're going to write down 4 roles or areas that are most important to you. So for example, I put Christian, wife, parent, and business owner. And then I want you to score each one with how you think you are doing, 1 to 5, 5 being high. Each one, you don't have to rank them. Like you could have 2 that are 4s, and so on. But I just want you to individually look at each role and assess how you think you're doing. So when I did this, I put Christian, I put, I think maybe 3 or 4, wife, I put 4, parent, I put 5, business owner, I put 4. So then analyze why you scored it that way. So for me, I am bad about, I put Jensen first and not necessarily our marriage. And I realized that in order to have a stable family, like your marriage is your base. And so that does need to be a focus. And so that's one area that I could improve. And I think it's good to look at this and look at, like, before I had Jensen, my career was really important. And then when I had Jensen, I felt bad that I wasn't working out and that I wasn't giving my career and other areas all of my focus. And I think it's good to understand that, especially when you're a parent, like I said, there are different seasons in life. And so if you are in baby phase, like, do not be stressed out and worried about working out every day. Like, you most likely are in survival mode, and that's okay. So you just need to get through this season, and it's okay that your children are going to come first during this season of your life. There may be a different season in life where your career is more important, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else like traveling or your marriage. So kind of go through this analysis and try to pinpoint why you scored it that way, what areas you're doing well in, what areas could use some improvement, and how you could improve those low scoring areas. So this comes back to, somebody had asked last week, how do you decide which goals to prioritize? So look at your vision, like what your dream was, where you want to be in 5 years and in 3 years, and then compare that to this roles assessment and look at the role that needs the most improvement and analyze, is that in the personal area or is that more like in the professional area? I'm not saying that your goal has to be to improve the one role that needs to be improved, but it just might help you decide and narrow it down so that you know where to focus. I just have a few other tips as you're going through this exercise. So you need to remember that saying yes to something means that you're going to say no to something else. And like I said earlier, balance is about choosing something, but then not feeling guilty about that choice. So during baby phase, I was the last one into the office and I was the first one to leave. And then I had a long commute and I only got 1 hour with Jensen at night. And I just felt guilty, like on all sides. I felt like I was being a bad mom. I felt like I wasn't being a good employee. And I think it's just, I needed to prioritize Jensen and understand like this is 1 year of my life. I'm in survival mode. I'm exhausted. He did not sleep. And I need to prioritize this time with him. Like he's going to grow so fast. And I shouldn't be feeling guilty about my career because there's time for that. Another thing too that helps is when you are, in order to not be overwhelmed and saying yes to everything, ask yourself, what is your motive? Are you saying yes to teaching catechism or volunteering because it's going to make you look good? Or are you saying yes because you genuinely want to do that and you're going to do it out of love? I struggle with I feel pressure that I should do everything out of love. But the reality is that's just not possible. And so if I am going to be hosting a baby shower for somebody, okay, yep, that's a good yes, because I'm doing it out of love. I want to help her. Whereas something else that my heart really isn't in it, sorry, but somebody else is going to be able to give themselves more to that effort than me. So like I said, sometimes I love Brene Brown's quote that the most compassionate people have hard boundaries. Like you're not a bad person if you have boundaries. Sometimes you have to cut the rope. Sometimes you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So sometimes you have to cut that rope to an unhealthy thing or the thing that you just can't commit to right now in order to serve the people that really matter to you. Let's see, I think we have a few people on. So if you have any comments or questions as we're going through this, feel free to shout them out, but otherwise I'll just keep going. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this brings up a good point. When we talk about boundaries, something that I've noticed and that I want to forewarn you about is it's common when you do set those boundaries and you are pursuing your goals and you say no to something or you get serious about your health and your habits, that you might experience a backlash. So you may notice that it kind of feels like other people who are going this direction and you start going in a different direction, you may feel like, I don't know, I guess I kind of felt like I was shunned a little bit. And I just want to prepare you for that. And I'd like to be able to talk through that and how you guys were able to handle it. So I've thought a lot about this, and in talking to other people and reading a lot of books, no matter what it is, whether it's Brene Brown and you're becoming vulnerable and wholehearted, she warns you that you will see this social friction or this backlash or the aftermath. Other people who are Brendon Burchard, when he talks about high performance habits, once you really get serious about that, you'll start to notice this too, that your friends and maybe even your family members will be like, well, wait a minute, they may tease you or quit hanging out with you or whatever. I don't know if it's people feel like they're being left in the dust, or if they feel like if it's a spouse or a family member, it may be that if you are going balls to the wall and pursuing a career goal or a business goal, they may have concerns about that they're going to be left to do it all. So my advice would be have an honest conversation with them and ask what it is that they are fearing and how you can work through that. It's important to realize that our instincts, like our survival instincts, are to stay in the community, to stay in the tribe, and not to venture off or to do different things. Because back in the day, like that meant death. Like if you didn't stay within the tribe and you went off and did something else or stuck your neck out for somebody else and did something different, then the tribe didn't have your back. So it's an instinct for your friends and family to kind of resist when you're going in a different direction. And I'm sure that you guys have heard these quotes before, but growth causes friction, right? So crabs that are trying to climb out of a container, they literally will pull each other down. People may not realize it, but average people want you to stay average. So keep crusading forward, keep pushing forward. Again, come back to your motive and why you're doing this. I think that it's important when your goals and these healthy habits are aligned with your purpose and your dream, then you have more confidence in it and you're not likely to be swayed by different people. So just have confidence that this is a good thing and that, like I said, if it's a relationship that you really value and there's some concerns there, then just have an honest conversation about like, look, this is my dream and I'm trying to provide a better life for our family, and ask what you can do to help them get in alignment with that and support you. So another part of this is if you go to your second worksheet, this brings up the mindset topic. So mindset is this buzzword right now that refers to, so you probably is reality, meaning that your beliefs or perception is shaped by your past experiences. So mindset is a term that describes how your beliefs determine how you will perceive reality or how you will handle a situation when it occurs. So, different people view a fire different ways. An arsonist views a fire a lot different than the homeowner, right? So your past experiences will definitely shape how you perceive reality. And so oftentimes when we go through our goals, the reason I want to talk about this is because oftentimes your mindset is limiting your growth or limiting your goals. Because if you believe that if somebody were to call you a purple dinosaur, you'd laugh at them because you're like, I'm not a purple dinosaur. I don't care. If somebody tells you that you are not smart enough or that you're not old enough to go after that, or that you're too young to be managing people, or that you're too old to leave your stable career and try something different, if you have an insecurity around that, or if your mindset or past experiences have told you that that is true, and you've told yourself that so many times that you believe it, then you are going to have concerns and that is going to limit you. So I'd like you to work through this worksheet to kind of uncover what are your limiting beliefs. So write down 3 thoughts or beliefs that have held you back. So, and then flip the script. So if it's I'm not smart enough, you can flip it to I'm teachable. I have fresh ideas. I'm willing to go the extra mile and learn. If it's that you don't have enough experience, flip it to I'm eager and driven. If it's I'm too old, it's I'm experienced, so on and so forth. So when these thoughts come up, I'm a big fan of journaling and making sure that you write that down and then immediately write down the positive affirmation, so the opposite statement. Or even if you're not journaling, just make sure that you're telling yourself this all the time. Like keep flipping the script and catch yourself so that you don't go down that spiral of negative thinking. Another thing to ask is, especially when we talk about whether our friends are supporting us or worrying about what other people will think, go through the rumble exercise. So this walks you through when do you worry about what other people think? What do you assume that they're thinking? did they actually say this? And is it true? So going back to the purple dinosaur thing. Okay, is it true that you're a purple dinosaur? No. Is it true that you're not smart enough? No. Is it true that you're too old to pursue your dreams? No. So really dig through, like, did somebody actually say this, or have I just told myself this so many times that now I believe it to be true? So that's a really good exercise to just call out the reality of your thoughts and to stop that downward spiral. Another thing that I'm going to close with and just leave you guys with is with your goals, think through. For the longest time, I thought that it was, well, for a lot of people, I feel like they say that they're scared of failing, but oftentimes it's not that. It's more that they're afraid of what people will think. So with me, I realized with starting my business that I really don't think I will fail, and I'm not scared about people saying like, "Oh, I told you so." Like, the reality is people are so caught up in their own lives that they're really not thinking about you as much as you think, right? Let's get out of our ego for a second. So ask yourself, if I would fail, would I be okay? Would you still be proud of yourself? Um, I've said this before, but it's a great quote that I keep coming back to, that no one who's achieved more than you will judge you. So why do you care about the people that are achieving less than you? Um, so again, kind of think through that and call out, what are you really afraid of? And if it's that you're afraid of what other people think, has anybody ever said that? Or is that just a myth that you're telling yourself? So let me know once you guys have been able to watch this video what you think. I'd love to know what your limiting beliefs are. So if you want to comment on this video, you can list your top limiting belief or the one that most commonly has held you back. And then what it is that you assume people are thinking that as you went through this exercise, you realized was just silly and that you need to stop telling yourself that. I will send an email with follow-up tips and some more advice. But let me know how this exercise worked for you, and let me know if you have any suggestions for next week. Next week, we will get into how then, okay, so now we've identified our values. Now we're going to go through and align our calendar, our weekly calendar, and our healthy habits to these values. So thank you for tuning in, and best of luck, and hope you have a good week.